Before you put on any trade going forward, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself a simple question. Do I really want to have this position? A position is like a relationship. A position is like having a child, all right? It's a long-term investment, not just of your money, in your emotions, in your mental bandwidth. And you think, no, Brian, I'm just going to put on Dogecoin because it's fun. No. That's what newbie traders do, all right? You put on that Dogecoin trade, and guess what? It takes some of your attention bandwidth away from your other core trades in the DeFi sector. So before you put on those trades, ask yourself, do I really want to have this position? Ask yourself, is there an opportunity cost when I put on this position? Is it going to take away capital, mental bandwidth, emotions, where I could be spending that on something else in my life, including building a business or your kids or your health? These are important questions. Ask yourself, does this trade fit with my mission and my ethos and my long-term strategy? Pay attention to what I'm saying, because I would guarantee that if you're listening to me right now, you don't consider any of these things when you put these trades on. You put it on because you heard someone post about this ticker probably 6 different times on a forum and you thought, I'll just put some on. That's not how we trade inside DeFi Academy. And of course, do you have a stop loss? All right, that's what's most important. And I mentioned it earlier and I'll say it again. The biggest losses I've ever had as a trader happens right after I have my largest profits, because the battle with your ego is never ending. And just when you think you've mastered trading, just when you think you're Gordon Gekko, you get your ass handed to you on the next trade. And this is the nature of the human mind, and this is why most humans are terrible traders. And so again, before you put on your next position, get your mind right. And I always think of a story that I like to tell that I experienced when I was in Chicago. So a lot of you know I spent 2 years trading in New York City, and then I got hired to run the Treasury derivatives desk at the First National Bank of Chicago. I was always 25 years old. I was a vice president. They paid me a ton of money, and I flew and moved to Chicago, and I got sat on the desk there, and I ran the Treasury derivatives book. And I was also right next to the Chicago Board of Trade and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And this is the big pits with 300 massive guys that used to play in the National Football League in America, yelling and screaming and pushing and sweating, and they're literally doing this with their hands like they do in trading places, right? And inside those pits are guys called locals, and locals spend a couple $100,000, they buy a seat, and they have all the information, and they're the market makers, the liquidity traders. And those markets, they close about 3 p.m. So what all the traders do is they go, and by 3:30, they're all drunk usually. And so we go down and hang out at the bars afterwards, and I remember being introduced to one of these locals who was a legend. He'd been in there for 20 years. Made tens of millions of dollars, gone to Africa, shot all these animals and all this stuff. And I remember having these conversations with him, and I said, how do you keep the edge? How do you keep the edge when you're trading against Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and you don't know the news, you're in the middle of that pit? And he said, Brian, I keep my mind right. He said, if I've had a fight with my girlfriend or my wife, the argument the day before, he said, I won't go into the pits and trade. I said, you literally won't go trade? He said, I won't, because my mind isn't right. He said, if I'm angry, he said, if I'm emotional, he said, if I'm broke, I'm very careful, because that will all affect my trading decisions. And so one of the things I see today that alarms me are these trading apps. And one of the things I'll be teaching in the DeFi Academy is we don't trade on our apps and we don't trade 24/7. What we do is we have a disciplined procedure of when we trade and how we trade. We trade at our desktops. We trade based on our long-term perspective. We trade based on our strategy, and we trade based on our mission, and we always put stop losses in on our trades. And so again, I hope that helps some of you when it comes to the discipline of trading